Welcome to the empty nest. What's for dinner tonight? Well, let me tell you, we are putting the pressure on tonight. We are putting the pressure right on these little short ribs here. So we got ourselves some really nice boneless short ribs that we had in the freezer. As you can see, this is what they call a flanking cut. It's cut across the bone, so usually you'll have little bones in here. The other, when you get the thicker plate cut, or that's called an English cut, they're the real thick ones with about that much bone attached to them. So we are going to use our pressure cooker tonight because our trusty old oven, after 12 years I think, has finally bit the dust. And we ordered one right away and they said, yeah, it won't be here for weeks because of the COVID stuff. So we have been making do. Hopefully the warm weather will come and we're gonna be out grilling soon, which is gonna be very, very exciting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these ribs and I'm gonna cut them in half, and we're gonna get some salt and pepper on those right now. And then we're gonna brown them. And after we brown them in the pressure cooker on the first stage of the pressure cooker, what we're going to do is we're going to add our ingredients. So what you need for this is we've got about 4 potatoes that we're just gonna cube up, probably quarter up. We've got a half a cup of onions. We've got a third of a cup of red wine. So Kelly and I are actually out of red wine, but a Chianti or a Cabernet would go awesome in this recipe. So we're just using the old Haddon House red cooking wine. And then we have a half a cup of beef broth. Just watch your salt, we use the low sodium. We've got a third a cup of carrots. And again, for these, like the carrots and the vegetables, you can use it to your taste. You could use less or more, it's up to you. Usually I would put celery in, but we don't have any celery. So we've got 1 bay leaf, and we've got a 1/4 teaspoon of crushed rosemary. So we had a little camera snafu, and while I was fixing that, my wife actually pointed out 2 things to me. So one was, which is very unusual because she doesn't really usually know what's in the fridge, is she pointed out that we did have celery. So I got about a half a cup of celery there that we could put in our pressure cooker. So I think we were at the diced tomato when things went a little bit south. So we got 1 can of diced tomatoes that we're gonna put in. And of course I have my, my trusty beef fat or beef tallow that I'm gonna use to brown the short ribs. So you could get this at this is called Epic Beef Tallow. I think we featured it in another video. This is grass fed, so very good, and makes things brown up very nice. And I think that all right, so we got our beef tallow in the pressure cooker, and we turned the pressure cooker on. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit the chicken meat button. And right for now, I'm just going to leave the time alone. And what this will do, I'm going to set the timer to 1 hour then, once we start to brown. What this will do is this will go into a warming cycle, and it'll get the insert of the pressure cooker very hot. And that's where we're going to brown our short ribs that we cut in half. And I could hear that beautiful sound of that beef fat starting to sizzle up. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna lay our short ribs in. You shouldn't really crowd the pan, but I don't really feel like doing this in so many stages, so I'm gonna probably crowd it a little more than I should. Well, it's a little when you crowd the pan, right, like what happens is that your meat will tend to steam up a little bit. A lot of times what I'll do is if I'm cooking a lot of meat is I'll just take a fry pan on the stove, our stove that don't work right now, and I would just fry them up in a fry pan. So I typically don't use this this session of this part of the pressure cooker. Our short ribs are in the pressure cooker browning. As you can see, Cal, I don't know if you can pan in. Maybe on this side, we got a little bit of a color on that. That's just kind of what we want to see. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put all the kids in the pool. So we're gonna get all of our veg in here. Carrot, celery, a bay leaf, onion. I just take the onion because once you pressure cook them, it kind of turns to mush anyway, but it's a good flavorful mush, if you will. And I mean, you could always adjust the times depending on what you're cooking, but I like them thin. I like the flavor of the onion in there. And I'm going to throw our potatoes in. We're going to stir this all up anyway, so it doesn't really matter what order you put it in. It's all going to come out the same way anyhow. I'm going to put our half a cup of beef broth in. I'm going to put our third of a cup of wine in. And I'm going to put our can of diced tomatoes in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir it up just to get some of this stuff coated. So this is where you just kind of, ooh, it's getting away on me a little bit there. This is where you just kind of dig in and stir this into one nice goulash here. So you got plenty of liquid. What we're really trying to get to is that meat will like braise in there almost with the pressure. So what I'm doing now is I'm just sprinkling the rosemary around. Okay. And we're all set. I'm going to give this just one more quick stir. And then we are going to put the pressure on our food tonight. Just like, here we go. We want to make sure that it's turned to the right function so it starts to build pressure. And then what we're going to do, once this goes through its first cycle, is we're going to set it up for cook time of an hour. We are pressure cooking away. We are down to 39 minutes, and I wish we had smell-o-vision because the smell is just fabulous. We are back at the nest, and our pressure cooker is ready to be released. So I don't know, maybe this is a good time. I guess you can get facials. Maybe it's not suggested because the steam might be a little bit hot. So we're just going to release the steam. We're going to let this thing go. All right, we're going to twist our lid off here. Actually, our lid is still locked, so we'll just let that go.
So
okay.
Hot.
And the pressure cooker comes off. So you can see all that goodness in there.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And then we're just going to take this and stir this around. As you can see, this beef's just falling apart.
Oh, it's getting all steamy.
So we're just going to take some of this beef and the potatoes and the onion and carrots. We're going to put this in a bowl. And the sauce even looks really good, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
now all we need is we might have to take some bread out of the freezer.
Oh, we should have taken that out earlier,
So we can, this is kind of like a little beef stew here. All right. So here's our dish plated up. And I'm going to just take some chives and put that over. Let them settle in a little bit. I'm going to just, I can't help myself, just to let everyone know that Kelly made some nice green beans with a little bit of oil.
And garlic.
And garlic after she boiled them. Mm-hmm. And they look delicious.
Yep.
So here we go. Let's try this out. So as you guys, I don't even really need a knife because this is just pulling apart very easily. So I'm gonna get a potato. I hope I don't burn myself.
Is it good?
Wow, it is so good.
Oh, I
I just need to add a little bit of salt, but just if you pan down, folks, just so they could see how this just falls right apart. So this is just fork tender and such a nice beef flavor. I think that wine gives it a nice rounding out. And the only thing I'm really gonna do is add salt and pepper and maybe get some bread out of the freezer. So
Sounds good.
thank you everybody for the continued support and watching our videos. And we are signing out from the empty nest.